Hi everyone. If you've clicked on this video based on the title, yes, I'm willing to believe at least a 90% chance that this tri-series was going on and most cricket lovers did not even know about it. And if that's the case, I don't blame you, to be fair, because this tri-series was going on along with the Champions Trophy, and obviously the Champions Trophy will have more significance to the average cricket fan. Now, in this channel, I do talk about USA cricket especially. I've also mentioned the Champions Trophy in a short, but I want to give a little shout out to this tri-series between Netherlands, Namibia, and Canada. Now, what was the significance of this tri-series? Well, it's a part of the ICC Cricket World Cup League 2, which is a 3-year long ODI tri-series type tournament. Each team plays 36 games, and the main significance is to try and help them get into the 2027 ODI World Cup. I've already made another video on this, on how USA and Italy can make the World Cup for 2027. So if you find that video, please do watch it. I'll also link it in the description below. Anyway, enough of self-promoting. So let's come to the tri-series here. There were 6 games. Each team played the other 2 teams twice. So they played 4 in the tri-series. Now, there's only 4 games on the screen. That's actually because 2 games, the 2 games between Canada and Netherlands, both of them were washed out. So both teams got 1 point each, and that was a bit disappointing. But the other 4 games, they were entertaining in their own right. Well, the first game that did happen was between the Netherlands and Namibia. Of course, rain was definitely a big factor in pretty much all the games that took place here. So the first game was cut short to a 40-over game, and Netherlands, they batted first. They got all out for 159. Not a big score, but sometimes in these associate games, 4 runs and over for an ODI game can be a pretty tricky score to chase down. Yeah, coming to the game, I thought Netherlands, they probably could have got more runs. Vikramjit Singh and Max Adal, both the openers, they had an 84-run partnership. It was looking good. But then all of a sudden, they just fell to 99 for 6. And thanks to Teja Nidamanuru, who batted number 7, he made 47. And at least they got to 159. Not a massive score, but as I did mention, it always can be a tricky score. Yeah, for Namibia, I thought the bowlers, especially Bernard Scholz, he bowled really good, got 4 wickets, was excellent with the ball. And then Namibia, obviously, they didn't chase it down. They got all up for 106 in the 30 overs. Yeah, it looks like they tried to chase it down too quickly, and instead they lost the game altogether. Well, net run rate does play an effect into these League 2 games, so I can understand that to some extent, but Namibia, they've lost so many games coming into this, so they would have rather gone for the win instead of trying to win it quickly. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, except the captain Erasmus with 31 and Trumpelman made 25 not out. Yeah, there was not much support from the other batters for Namibia. And with the bowlers, it was a pretty good bowling effort from the Dutch. Arjen Dutt and Lion Cachet got 3 wickets, and they managed to win the game and get 2 points. Well, of course, the second game, which is in the top right corner of this picture, that was obviously the best game by far of this tri-series because it went to a super over. And this is something I do want to talk about. So, this game actually was happening at the same time the Champions Trophy final between India and New Zealand was taking place. Of course, the India-New Zealand game was obviously going to be more preferred for the average cricket fan than the game between Namibia and Canada. And while the India-New Zealand game was also a pretty good game, but it wasn't as close or as dramatic as this game between Canada and Namibia. So, to start off, I think it was supposed to be a 50-over game. That's how Canada played it initially. However, at some point, it did rain, and it ended up becoming a 39-over game, where Canada, they batted first. So, at the end of 39 overs, they got 168 for 8. But they did think that they will bat 50 overs. That's how their openers kind of play. Like Navneet Dhaliwal, he made 54 of 84. He took his time. Even Yuvraj Samra made 24 43. That's what it felt. They took their time thinking that the 50 overs instead of just 39. And because of that, the DLS target for Namibia was actually 175 instead of 169. And that's what made it very interesting, this game. Yeah, Bernard Golds, he's a really good bowler in these Namibian conditions, especially, and even in general, he's actually a pretty good spin bowler. He got 3 wickets in this game as well, and Sean Fauché got 3. But yeah, Namibia, they needed 175. They also batted all the 39 overs, and they got all up for 174. They did get all up for 174, and it was a tie game. Now, this is where I do want to mention that in the previous League 2 cycle, there wasn't a super over should a game had been tied. And I know this because USA were involved in 2 tied games, one versus Nepal and one versus Papua New Guinea. In both those games, they got it to a tie. Well, one game they weren't supposed to lose, they weren't supposed to win or have a tie, but they managed to make it a tie. In the other game, they were supposed to win, but it became a tie. Anyway, the point of what I'm trying to make is they just ended the game at a tie. It didn't go to a super over. But this game between Namibia and Canada did. It did go to a super over. And that's what made it pretty exciting. Now, Canada, they probably could have won because Namibia were 143 for 8. But Dylan Lecher, he made 20. Batting at number 10. Gerard Erasmus made 41. He's obviously the best batter for the Namibian team, I would say. Of course, talent-wise. And it was a great game. Went to the last ball and in fact went to a super over. Yeah, and the super over, Kalim Sana, he bowled a wonderful super over. Just gave 3 runs. In fact, 2 of them were extra, so really just gave 1 run off the bat. And he managed to get both the wickets of J.J. Smith and Erasmus. And at the end, it ended up being pretty easy for Canada. They chased it down in 3 balls, scored 7 runs. Yeah, the 3 runs and 2 balls, and then the boundary to finish it off from Pargat Singh. So you could say a little anticlimactic finish to otherwise what was a brilliant game. 3 of 6 in this tri-series. Then game 4 was between Canada and Netherlands, which I've already mentioned earlier. That was washed out. So the game 5, that was between Namibia and Netherlands, the second time they played. Yeah, this game was kind of one-sided. Namibia, they batted first. They got all out for 148. I think this was the only game in this entire tri-series that was a full 50-over game. Even though it doesn't look like it, it was actually a 50-over game. Yeah, Namibia batting first, got all out for 148. Erasmus, again, the captain, he made 63. But he had almost no support from any of his other teammates. And yeah, 148 is not a real big score. It's okay, but I think they needed 200 if they really wanted to challenge the Netherlands. For Netherlands, 3 bowlers getting 3 wickets each. Kyle Klein, Van Meckeren, and Arjen Dutt. It was a good all-around performance. And, 149, not a big target. Netherlands chased it down in 37 overs, 149 for 3. They were in a little bit of trouble at 40 for 3 after being 33 for 0. Vikramjit Singh, Max O'Dowd, and Lion Cachet, they did get out pretty quickly, one after another. So Namibia might have had hope there, but unfortunately for them, Colin Ackerman and Scott Edwards made 50 runs each, and they ended up having a 100-plus run partnership that pretty much won them the game. So they got it with 13 overs to spare, and pretty comfortably chased it down, and got 2 more points. So Netherlands actually had a pretty good tri-series. They got 6 points out of the possible 8 total points from this tri-series, 2 coming from the washouts against Canada and then winning against Namibia twice, so they got 4 points from there, so 6 in total. And then the final game, which happened just a few hours ago from the time I'm recording this, the second meeting between Namibia and Canada. Now this wasn't a full 50-over game. I think the first innings it was, but in the second innings it wasn't. So Namibia batting first, they got all up for 186 in 49 overs. Erasmus, he only made 17, but this time a couple other players made some good contributions. Jean-Pierre Kodze made 48, Jan Nicol-Lofty-Eaton made 47, Davin made 33, so they got some contribution from the top order. But they'll be a bit disappointed, being 135 for 4. They would have liked to have got at least 225, I would say, from that position, but they lost all the wickets and got all out. So that was definitely a poor ending for Namibia. Yeah, for Canada, Shahid Ahmadzai and Kalim Sana both getting 4 wickets each. Good performance overall with the ball, for the two Canadian bowlers and for the team in general. And I think at some point, or maybe it was during the innings break, it rained and it was cut short to a 43 over chase for Canada, and they needed 167 to win the DLS method score. And they couldn't get it. They got all out for 154 and 42 overs with 1 over to spare. Even they got all out. Now, Canada will be really disappointed to have lost this game. Again, Yuvraj Samra and Navneet Dhaliwal. They had a good partnership. To start off, made 79-run opening partnership. Samra got 53, Dhaliwal 25. There was 79 for none, but then they fell to 103 for 5 when Pargat Singh, Harsh Thakur and Nicholas Curtin got out quickly. But then there was another partnership between Shreyas Mova and Syed bin Zafar, and they were 140 for 5, needing just another 27 to win in about 4 overs. It was probably their game, but at the same time, 4 overs, 27 runs, it can be a bit tricky with just 5 wickets in hand, and that's what happened. Shreyas Mova, he pretty much got no strike towards the end when Syed bin Zafar got out, and all the other batters, they're mainly bowlers, so they may not be trustworthy to hold the bat. And that's what happened. Namibia managed to pull off the win and get something out of this tri-series. They're the only team in this tri-series to have played 4 games, successful 4 games, and they've only won 1. But they needed to win this badly because their situation in the League 2 table is not very good. It's still not good, only having 14 points after 20 games. Only won 7 out of 20. But at least they managed to win a game which they desperately needed. Now, what's going to happen for them, I have no idea. We'll see in the future. They still have another 16 games, and if there's one thing League 2 does teach, it's never over until it's over. Because associate cricket always has something to give, especially when it comes down to the last moments. Well, Erasmus, he may have not shined with the bat in this game, but he got 4 wickets with the ball. So the captain for Namibia, he seems to always do something good for his team. Well, that's what it was in this story for Namibia. Erasmus, he played well, but his teammates not necessarily. But at least in the last game, they managed to clinch a win. Canada would have been disappointed for sure, because had they won, they would have been tied for the top spot with USA, but now they're 2 points behind USA. Of course, the main goal is you want to be in the top 4 teams by the end of this League 2 cycle of 36 games you play, so that you can directly go to the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier and not have to go to the World Cup qualifier playoff, where you would have to be top 4 there and then you come to the qualifier. You just want to skip the playoff altogether. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just a quick summary of all the games that happened in this ODI tri-series that almost no cricket fan or anybody really cared about. Yeah, most of the people from Canada and Netherlands, they don't really care about cricket. And in Namibia, there is passion for cricket, but I mean, they all happen during the day. That's the sad part. All these games happen during the day. It's not a day-night game. So, people will be busy with their day lives, which makes sense. So that's what it is. It was still a really good tri-series. I know that a couple of them were kind of one-sided, especially the games between Namibia and Netherlands. But the games between Netherlands and Canada being washed out, well, you can't really talk about the games that were washed out. But the games between Namibia and Canada, they were the ones that were really interesting, for sure. Yeah. I do like to talk about associate cricket more, solely because as a USA cricket fan, I feel for them a little bit. Yeah. I know that this video may not get a lot of views or any real attention because at the end of the day, I totally understand who really cares about a tri-series between Namibia, Canada, and Netherlands as an average cricket viewer. And personally, even I didn't care a lot because I'm a USA cricket fan and USA was not playing in this tri-series, but I did want to cover it because Canada was playing and I wanted to keep an eye to hope that Canada and Netherlands do not tie USA in the points table after the tri-series, and that's what happened. That was probably the only reason I really cared about this. Anyway, if you somehow watched the video until this point, Thank you so much for watching this video till here. If you did like this video, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content. And until the next video, bye.